Here we start. What we're going to do today, we're going to install a firewall, and we're going to define 4 areas for that firewall. We're going to install it over VirtualBox. The firewall will have 4 interfaces, one facing the one, another one for our green zone or for our LAN, and 2 others, one for our DMZ. This area will be a DMZ, well known as orange area, where we're going to put our server, and another interface for web access, in this case for wireless, where you can have the wireless routers and access points of your company. Is it okay, the streaming? Yeah. Does it have sound? Yeah? Sound, just check please. Yeah, okay, thank you. So to download it, you have here the site pfsense.org download. The Pfsense is a firewall made over BSD, and the last version, at least the last stable version for download, it's 2.4.3. You can download it, and you have 3 architectures. In this case, for 4.3 only 2. For 2.4.5 you have the 32-bit architecture, but for 4.3 you have only for 64 bits, and also for using with GNS3 software for virtualization also. You can choose from a mirror, and after downloaded you'll have the information. Let me say where you have it. You have the information on where is it? I've got it somewhere here. Yeah, you have the information on the of the Pfsense. The Pfsense comes compressed by gzip, and you have to uncompress it. After you uncompress it, you have here the file is about 600 megabytes, and right now I'm going to create the virtual machine for it. So new, name will be Paul 18, Pfsense. We shall say this is firewall 1. The type is BSD, and it is free BSD, 64 bits. Next, then 1 gig of RAM, it's enough for what we are going to training today, so we do next. 60 gigs, it's also enough, so create of hard disk, and then VDI, next, dynamically allocated, name of the hard disk, and we have created. Wait a second, because here it went down, so let me put it in the right, whoops, the right folder. Come on. So after on settings, now you're going to create or to add 3 more network interfaces. The first one will be connected as NAT. The second one will be as internal network, but as we can watch by the drawing, the network diagram, you can check it will be internal, and we're going to give it the name F1 green. You know, that's the firewall green. So F1 green. The second interface will also be internal network and will be F1 orange. And the third and the fourth, or the last interface, will be F1 blue. Okay, so let's do a recap. First NAT, second F1 green, third F1 orange, and the fourth F1 blue. Now you have to add the CD-ROM. Have to choose it, CD-ROM, and you have to point it to Pfsense 2.4.3 release, open. Okay, and we're going to install it. Now, the installation of the Pfsense, it's quite easy. On these days, it's much easier than previous versions. So, first of all, the Pfsense, the development is now all done by NetGate, and you can use this for not commercial purpose, but if you want to use commercial, you have to speak with this company. So we do install, and you have to check what's your keyboard here. Okay, and then continue. We'll do auto guide setup. It will install and create all the partitions according to the size of the hard disk that we set. Give to this machine, and after we install it, it will ask if you want to make some other modifications. First of all, let's say no, and he says if you want to reboot, let's say yes. It's going to reboot it. While it's rebooting, you have to eject the CD-ROM, or it will enter in a loop trying to install again. Let me create this. So the firewall, what's the purpose of the firewall? The firewall is like a router who has ACLs, access lists, and is going to protect some areas. What we need in the firewall is that he will protect this area, this one area, where we can also say that this area sometimes is well known as a red area. I'm going to put it as red. And this red area is where the one, so the firewall will protect not only the information from coming from inside, from the one, as well it will protect that some information that's working in our green or blue area going outside. In this area is where we put generally the servers. I think I've got here some servers, and we're going to place here the server that we have configured with HTTP, so it will be possible to access to the web pages of this server. Let's check if it is just finished. After finished, as we can check, there is only two interfaces that are up, the WAN interface and the LAN interface. The WAN interface, since it's the first interface that we have in VirtualBox and is working by DHCP, it has this IP address, and by default Pfsense gives the IP address of this private network to the interface that is facing to the LAN. So first let's change this IP address to this network, as we previously thought we did. So to do, you have to set interface IP address. I'm going to choose second option, and then second option again, LAN. Right now we'll give the new IP address, and we say how much bits this interface will have, 24 bits. Right now it asks if you want to give a gateway address. It's not needed because we're going to do routing inside of the firewall from AM0 to AM1. No IPv6 address, And right now I'm going to configure DHCP on LAN, yes, and we'll start 192.168.10.30 and finish 192.168.10.100, for instance. Now, do you want to revert HTTP web configurator protocol? Yes, because you're going to need a client with a web interface to access to this firewall. So, to access to this firewall, right now you have to access is writing this IP address on the Firewall browser. Let's press continue. Even so let's pick up here a client. It could be this one. Let's start. Now this client, let me check. Properties. Right now it must obtain automatically information from the HTTP, and we have to do also another modification on network settings. We have to say that right now is connected to F1 green. Let's look at the network diagram. The name that we give in VirtualBox was F1 green, so we're going to put a client here. It's a Windows 10 client that will receive IP address by DHCP, and right now we can connect to this interface and configure the firewall. So okay, close, disable, enable, and let's check if he gets it here. Without saving. Let me check. Oh, this is something that we had on our. So I config, and that's it. Right now you have the IP address, the class, and default gateway. So for us, we can now access to this via web browser 192.168.10.254, and it's the interface. By default, Pfsense as the user admin, and the password is Pfsense in lower cases. So when we first log in into the web server, to the firewall, it begins to run a wizard. You can run it again, but it's a wizard that will be useful for making some previous modifications of the firewall. So next, right now is saying that you can have more support if you make a contract with Netgate. It's not necessary since it's for not commercial purposes. So the host name, we'll give him the F1 East firewall. Let's look at the drawing. We're going to place the firewall here, and then we're going to place another firewall here, and then we're going to make a VPN and other stuff here. But so the firewall will be the F1 East. This will be the firewall will be west. So firewall west, and this one will be F1 East. Okay. So the name, local domain. Right now it's not necessary to change the domain. Primary DNS server, since it's getting IP address directly from the DHCP, you don't have to configure. The DHCP also gives us the DNS server. Now the time server host name, you must put it where you are right now, and we are here in Lisbon. and time server host name. It could be any NTP server out there on the one. You can choose. So next. Now we're going to configure one interface. The one interface in this right now we're going to be configured as DHCP. So any other configuration here is not necessary to do. You've got the PP away interface, PPP point-to-point protocol, but at the end, since we are going to work inside and looking to the drawing again, we're going to work to private networks. The Pfsense can block the private networks or the background networks. We have to uncheck this so that during the training everything works okay, but if it is on production you should have these two options selected. Next, the IP address, subnet mask, again leave it how it is and change the password to a very unknown password, difficult. Don't save. So after we're going to do reload, and the wizard right now we're going to be redirect to the step 9, and here you can have support on Netgate, and here you can begin the configuration on Pfsense web configurator. So another information regarding that, no commercial distribution of Pfsense software is allowed, so we are not using for commercial. This is for training. And here you have the dashboard. On the dashboard you can configure adding other boards besides this one. First of all, I'm going to click and remove this one. And oh, sorry, it's not removing like this. Going to close. And right now you have only 2 interfaces here, but we add more. What else does this dashboard inform us? The release is from, it's quite old. This is from VirtualBox, the BIOS, and here it's the release that was made from this version 2.4.3 on March 26, and it says that's already 2.4.3 available. So let's download it and confirm. And why is doing the download? It's best that you don't press F5 or do the refresh for these web pages, or the upgrade could be here we have update settings. Let's save. Check if it is possible to do the update. Confirm. Okay. Now it's downloading. It's fetching. While it's doing the download, let me explain some of the areas. So on this DMZ is where we generally place our servers that will be available to the world. So in the WAN, if you have a client working as we generally are on the WAN, we generally contact or access to the firewall, and after we're going to make then the firewall will make a PAT, port address translation. Oops. A PAT. That's not working very well. Sometimes I would like to learn how to work with DIA. We'll great. So it does a PAT here, and the server that has HTTP, generally this server has HTTP or FTP, HTTP/FTP. Oops. Is where we're going to have, is where we did 2 weeks ago, I think, our web pages, and then the server itself would reply, and after we'll get the information directly to our computer. Of course, we're going to pass over a serial of routing around here on the cloud, but that's what is how it's going to work. Here on the green we'll have a server, and generally the client will do the authentication against the server, domain server or something like that, and after it is allowed to go to the one on this area, the blue one. Here we generally, it could be other stuff, but generally here we have, where is it, this is switch, yes. It was here, here it is. Here on the blue, on the blue, generally we have here the access points and all the access, so that sometimes when clients come to our company, they can access via wireless and go straight ahead to the one, or could also be other stuff here, other servers. Let's check if we done the update. No. No. Someone is stepping over the cable. It's too slow. Anyhow, what's the purpose of our training? First, we're going to do some basic rules and some basic configurations here on the Pfsense, and in the next video we're going to add another Pfsense here on the other side, because we have these 3 routers, and we're going to make a VPN, a simple one, site-to-site VPN with a shared key. And in that case we're going to see that if it's possible for someone being here on the green area of this firewall, accessing the green area of this firewall, and without going over the routing process that we have made. Here we have RIP. I think we configured RIP also last week, I suppose, and well, still waiting. Step 4, it's fast enough. Oh, no, Pfsense base. Unless I tell you a joke. I'm going to stop the video here, and then after the update of the system is finished, I'll be back again. Okay, so to stop and to check how it is, so stop stream.